the Third World and the Global South. The first world problem means a relatively trivial or minor problem or frustration. For example, when someone cracks the screen on their phone and gets wrong order at a coffee shop. Social media accounts, you might see their complaints with a hashtag of first world problem. Did you know people often use the term third world as a shorthand for poor or developing nations? By contrast, wealthier countries such as the United States and the nation of Western Europe are described as being part of the first world. Third world, the developing countries of Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Global stratification refers to the hierarchical arrangement of individuals and groups in societies around the world.
Let us begin by deconstructing the first, second, and third world hierarchy by looking at their origins and their implications. The terms date back to the Cold War, when Western policymakers began talking about the world as the three distinct political and economic blocs. Western capitalist countries were labeled as the first world, that includes the United States of America. The Soviet Union and its allies were termed the Second World, and everyone else was grouped into Third World, that includes the Philippines.
Everyone else was
After the Cold War ended, the category of Second World countries became null and void, but somehow, the terms First World and Third World stuck around in the public consciousness. Third World countries, which started as a vague catch-all term for non-alliance countries, came to be associated with impoverished states, while the First World was associated with rich, industrialized countries. In addition to being outdated, these terms are also inaccurate. There are more than 100 countries that fit the label of Third World, but they have vastly different levels of economic stability. Some are relatively poor, but many are not.
For example, lumping Botswana and Rwanda into the same category does not make much sense because the average income per capita in Botswana is 9 times larger than Rwanda.
Nowadays, social scientists sort countries into groups based on their specific levels of economic productivity. To do this, they use the gross domestic product to measure the total output of the country, and the gross national income to measure the GDP per capita. For the next reporter, here is John Mark Philip Petcho.
A new and simple classification, North-South, was created as Second World. Country joined either the First World or the Third World. Global North. Global North include the 8 countries: the United States, Canada, all member states of the European Union, Israel, Japan, Singapore, South Korea, as well as Australia and New Zealand, and 4 of the 5 permanent members of United Nations Security Council, including China. These countries are called the First World, plus much of the Second World. Global South. The Global South is an emerging term used by the World Bank to refer to low and middle income countries located in Asia, Africa, Latin America, and Caribbean, which contract to the high-income nation of the Global North. These countries were used to be called the Third World during the Cold War. By noting that countries are south of 30° north latitude, they are able to say that these areas share common problem and issue having to with economic and politics. For example, corruption, poverty, war, hunger, healthcare, education, safety. These are only a few of problems faced by the people in developing countries. Many of these problems are caused by excluding fear, intimidation, broken infrastructure, and lack of money, resources, access to information, and tools. The term Global North and Global South are a way for countries in the South to make a stand about the common issues, problems, and even cause in order to have equality all through the world. For the next reporter, here is Dayan Pina.
The next topic is about racial inequality. Racial inequality identifies the social advantages and disparities that affect different races. This can also be seen as a result of historic oppression, inequality of inheritance, or overall prejudice, especially against minority groups. According to Ritzer 2015, whites are disproportionately dominant to North. Blacks are primarily in the South. Global North and Global South are shaped by migration and globalization. The economy of Global North is wealthy and the economy of Global South is poor. According to Wynne and 2001, the economic differences between them have always possessed a racial character. There is also a distinction point to racial inequality, specifically in the white and in the black people. At the global level, whites are the Global North, which are rich and well developed, and the blacks are Global South, which are developing countries. This distinction always possess a racial character up to this day. Wealth is an important factor in determining the quality of both individual and family life chances because it can be used as a tool to secure a desired quality of life or class status.